there was a particular movie. Now, I like this movie, but there was something that
and we like the actor. We like the actor.
There was something that threw me off when I first watched Thor, and like it was just like, okay, we're in this world of Asgard, and it's beautiful and everything like that, and then we get over to old Heimdall, and I was just like, and I remember seeing the movie, and I was alone in the I wasn't alone in the theater, but I saw it by myself, but I was just like, as racist as this is going to sound, like, wow, he's really black.
That, you know, obviously the mythology, the Norse mythology, there weren't a lot of black folks in that part of the world at that time where this kind of mythology came from. So people go, yeah, but Asgard is like, you know, blah, 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 and other places, etc. And I'm like, well, maybe in a general sense, I can see where they're coming from in that. But in terms of the mythology, no. I mean, you know, like we just watched that thing where it talks about, you know, Guinevere is a Welsh name that means fair white. So you can't, you know, if you're going to call somebody Guinevere and the name means white, you know, a fair white person, you can't really, it's kind of heavy-handed to be casting them as a non-fair white person.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. Like I'm getting into now, or whatever. It was just like when I saw Heimdall, look. It takes me out of it every time I see him.
Right.
I'm just being honest. It takes me out of him every time I see him. I think Heimdall's a cool character. I like the actor and everything, but every time I see him, I'm just like, you know. And the same thing happened with Valkyrie. When I saw Valkyrie in Thor Ragnarok, I was like, okay, Tessa Thompson. I saw it in the trailers, obviously, but I'm just like, oh, okay.
And again, Norse mythology, Valkyrie, or it describes them quite clearly as very, very pale, very blonde, very blue-eyed. You know, again, mythological creatures to carry the fallen heroes to Valhalla. Again, people are like, well, it's not real. Oh, it's mythology. I go, but it's based off of clearly a very white world in that Norwegian, Scandinavian area that had, like, at that time, very little contact with non-white people until they started going to, like, you know, North America and other areas, like, you know, they went as far probably as Africa at some point.
You don't see a lot of just black people in Norse mythology. I'm sorry, you just don't.
But it wasn't created from that particular kind of mythos of that culture because they didn't know of any people of a different color. Because everybody in that group of people in those areas they traded and dealt with. Again, remember, we're talking about mythology, which was created before they really struck out and saw the world as a whole. So they created these based off of, you know, what they know. It's like, well, they must be white people. Why? Because we're white people. They must, like, God created us in his own image. It's like, oh, well, these guys created us. There you go. No problem. So we get that. We understand that. I mean, I wouldn't assume that any, you know, white people would have been thought of in mythology from, say, I don't know, some African tribe, let's say the, you know, the Kalahari or something, or the Maasai warriors, and, you know, way back in the day would probably not have created, you know, that kind of. I mean, maybe like the person of the underworld might have been a white ash chief person, maybe, because that's like evil and that's opposite of them. Maybe that's possible. Yeah.
And the same thing goes for the Little Mermaid. The same thing goes. The same thing applies there, or whatever. Because you got people that are like, you got like King Triton based out. You got the characters based out of Greek mythology,
right?
Here,
she should be Greek.
Yeah,
right. She should be. Exactly. Well, but now I will say, So if you're going off of that, you're right, because Greek people are olive skinned.
Yeah,
they're not. They're you know, they're not dark, but they're not light. So they're not white people, but they're not white people.
Right.
They're sort of, you know, olivey brown, kind of like Italian type in terms of skin, somewhere in the middle. But again, if you go off the kind of that mythology or like the story for that Hans Christian Andersen created, again, the Little Mermaid story based off of that. I mean, obviously when he wrote it in 1837 in Denmark, I'm pretty sure he didn't have any, well, I doubt he had a lot of black friends. I'm just saying. Because again, you wouldn't have seen a lot of black folks in 1837 in Denmark.
Yes.
Again, I know it's not real. I know it's a mythological, et cetera, et cetera. But that goes to speak of any mythology in that case.
Exactly. Any mythology, any folklore.
Right.
Mulan.
Right.
You know, there's a reason Mulan is Asian, because guess what? There probably weren't a lot of black people in Asia. Probably weren't. You know, I'm just saying.
Not a lot of white people in Asia at that time.
Exactly. It's just like you said, God created us when God created us in his own image. So hey, maybe these people people must have been Asian. Same thing in Africa. Like, well, these people must have been black, and stuff like that. So you start to.
Well, and here's the other thing. Like, say for example, the character John Henry from
John Henry Irons.
No, John Henry.
Oh, John Henry.
John Henry.
Okay, John Henry.
Again,
John Henry.
Again from the folklore kind of Paul Bunyan and folklore kind of thing. I wouldn't want him to be looking as a white person because I like the idea and the story.
Right.
I'm like, cool, that's great. Yes, do that because again, it's like, oh, cool, this guy can chop down trees really fast and stuff and build railroads and he's hammering and building.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, do that. I don't want that person to be cast as a white character. Exactly. And again, it's mythology. I guess it could be, but why?
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense to do that.
And see, that's the thing. That's the double standard we start getting into because when we start talking about like the Little Mermaid being, she's a black woman now. We talk about 007. 007 is going to be a black woman now.
Because it couldn't do a black man because that's, why would you want to do that?
But,
so it's like, okay.
007 is a black woman now. Imdal's black. The Valkyrie is black and stuff like that. It's like you start, when that stuff starts happening or whatever, it's like, it's like, oh, it's what is it? It's progressiveness, it's inclusion or whatever. Same thing for like, Johnny Storm being black and Johnny Storm in
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four.
Right.
Like him being black there, it's like, oh, it's inclusion, but if you go the other way around, people will say whitewashing like that.
Right.
Like
they'll say, but look at history. You had white people in blackface portraying black characters, and you already had the whitewashing going on. So now it's just the ebb and flow of whatever. But then, like I said before we started all this, it's like, well, wait a minute. Now, hang on a second. Why is it that in order for you to put yourself up, you have to put yourself or other people down? Isn't that what people were complaining about all these years up to this point? Mm-hmm. And now it's like, well, now you're going to be put down. Like. So it's okay that y'all were put down then? Is that the kind of what you're saying now? It's like, because now if white people can be put down, that's okay. Mm-hmm. That's accepted because they were in charge or they were the man or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's like, but I thought isn't that bullying? Yeah, isn't that tearing someone else down to make yourself feel better?
See, that's the thing.
Isn't that what that is?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like what this actually does is like, all right, aren't we supposed to be better now?
I would think.
Aren't we supposed to be better? It's like, yes, like there was stuff in people like, blackface and stuff like that back in the day. It's like, yes, we acknowledge that was fucked up. We know that was wrong. So, how do we make amends for it? Like, we don't make amends by doing the exact opposite.
Right.
Let's eye for an eye or whatever. Mm-hmm. What's the saying? Eye for an eye, everybody winds up blind or whatever.
Right. But again, you don't build yourself up by tearing other people down.
Exactly.
Did nobody tell y'all this? I mean, my parents told me that. Did no one tell you? And nobody. Did you not watch any public service cartoon segments in between the cartoons to say like G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle? No one told you like that's bullying, that's wrong, that you shouldn't do that. I mean, it's like, well, I don't know.
No, I mean, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. That's what I'm saying. Like, we get to this almost like a revenge mentality.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, how does it feel now?
Right, yeah.
No.
It's kind of not operating from it's not really operating from a point of compassion. I think sometimes I think it might be more of revenge, more animosity, more.
Yes, because like it's so interesting, like to see like the arguments that form, especially around like the Little Mermaid when people are trying to legitimately tell you like, hey, no, this is why this character was white, and this is why like it would make sense for this character to be white. Racist. Right. And it's like, really? I mean, that's the immediate thing, but. On the flip side, it's a fictional character. If it's done the other way around, it's a fictional character. What are you worried about?
Right.
Or whatever. And I'm just like, no, we don't take it as a double standard. Like the video you brought up, it was just like, yeah, we're getting people's hand-me-downs.
Right. Why? The guy said, why are black folks? And this is from what's his name? The I forget what his name was, but as a bearded,
yes,
African American gentleman who loves, because if you saw the video, he's got all kinds of stuff. I mean, he puts you to shame, no offense, but he's got like Marvel and DC stuff all over the place. He's got posters everywhere. He says, but why? Young Ripper. Yeah, Young Ripper. Yes. He's like, why are black folks happy with white folks' hand-me-downs?
Exactly.
And I'm like, that's a good question. And again, when he said there were new stories, I've already said that.
Yes.
Why not? I mean, no offense. Like we talked about earlier, I don't want to keep saying the same stuff. Yeah, Shaka Zulu, perfect example. I love that story. That is awesome.
Yeah, and exactly right. Like
this dude almost brought the British Empire to its knees.
Oh yeah.
The British Army was the most technologically advanced. Remember, Britain. They said the sun did not shine, did not set on the British Empire. Yeah, this guy almost brought them to their knees with spears, and it wasn't with spears. It was with determination. It was with will. It was with good leadership. It was just the will of the gods, or what do you want to call it. But this is a great story. Yes. Now, again, this is based off history, so I wouldn't expect it to be cast by anybody other than portrayed in this way, because this kid isn't in Africa.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to see I love the character of Shaft, of Richard Roundtree, and Cleopatra Jones, Pam Grier. We love those characters. I don't want to see Shaft as a white guy.
Exactly.
I mean, and I'm not saying that Dolph Lundgren back in the day couldn't have portrayed him, because no offense, Dolph Lundgren is a big old dude, and you don't want to cross him, much like Richard Roundtree or even Samuel L. Jackson's character. Now, I will say, in some ways, probably Dolph Lundgren's character is a little bit more intimidating than Samuel L. Jackson's character, because of the sheer size of him and everything. But in terms of just a general sense, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, and that's the thing I wanted to get at is like characters like Little Mermaid. They have just as much a right to be white as Shaka Zulu has a right to be black, as Mulan has a right to be Asian, as Jasmine from the Lion King, Aladdin. Yeah, she has a right to be Middle Eastern.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, they have a right to be the race that they are. You know, it's like, it's just as important. Don't discount white people just because you're just like, oh, you need to feel like you're above them or whatever. This is about equality, not superiority. Now, here's a question I want to ask you, because we both saw, I wanted to ask Trey, we both saw Spider-Man Far From Home, right? Okay, so the character Zendaya, like the actor Zendaya, or the musician, whatever. Zendaya, who does she play?
MJ.
As in?
Mary Jane.
I was hoping you would say that. That is actually incorrect.
Oh.
She does play MJ. And the reason I understand why you would think that she would be the adaptation of Mary Jane, just like Young Ripper and what's the other guy's name? Yeah, Cullen. Just like I understood why, is because here's what happened in Spider-Man Homecoming, and this was one of the big problems that I had with this movie. Zendaya plays Melissa, not Mary Jane Watson. Melissa, a brand new character. Okay. And I was like, wow, this character is interesting. She's funny. She's got quirks about her and everything like that. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. I was like, okay, we got this brand new character, that may eventually wind up being Peter's love interest later on or something like that. They developed it properly. I was like, okay, I can kind of see where this is going. And at the end of the movie, they were just like, oh, my friends call me MJ. And I'm like,
I was going to say, there you go. There you go.
Why?
There you go.
What? Why? Why can't you just be Melissa? Why can't you just be Melissa? Because I mean, it's not like Marvel has ever created a brand new character who's not who's not a white character. It's not like they ever created somebody who just took off and was super awesome.
Right. Hey, I gotta be honest with you. Yeah, I've been a huge fan of Ming-Na or Ming-Na Wen, as she was known back then, from day one. And again, talking back about the 007 thing, Michelle Yeoh was in the Pierce Brosnan one, and no offense, I mean, if you watch the movie, the one of the Pierce Brosnan 007s with her and him, I remember he's running from the bad guys and she's got the tech and she's like, see ya. And she's like, boom. And I'm like, yes, that's what we want to see. But like, that's awesome. Why not create a character like her that they've already done who's a separate agent or a similar type agent, or maybe, you know, she's 005 or she's 008 or something.
Exactly.
I mean, back in the Roger Moore days, Felix Leiter was Bernie Casey, the awesome Bernie Casey. Love Bernie Casey because, you know, he's fought gargoyles, he's fought bullies in Revenge of the Nerds. I mean, you know, he's a great actor. He has a good presence, and he can play a multitude of roles. Why not do that?
Exactly.
I mean, I'm like, yeah, let's do that. Why not? I mean, because here's the thing. Yeah, you have the agent who does the whatever, but you gotta believe, kind of like with, you know, special forces. You go, well, you may have to send in more than one. You may have to send in a group or something. And like say Mission Impossible, you have a group of people sometimes, you know, and now they'll do their own little things, but they all have to work together. And it's like, hey, now we can help each other out. It's like, she needs to help me, and this time I need to help her, or this other thing's going on, you know, and so. You know, why not have the black female British agent help Bond out when he's stuck dangling from a wire or something?
Yes,
not heavy-handed and go like, well, you know, you need a woman's help, don't you? Or, you know, I guess man's work and is never done when a woman's around or something. You know, don't heavy-hand it, but kind of go like, boom, and go like, ooh, that was a close one. I'm glad you were there. You know, and it's like, it's like, I got your back, Bond. And like, boom. And so you kind of, you know, again, you're going to go, all right, this is what you figured out. It's like, you don't heavy-hand it. You don't kind of wave over it, but you kind of go, we're there for each other because that's what we're here to do. We're teammates. Not like, well, I'm the guy and I have to be in charge and I have to do everything. And you're just a girl and I got to protect you. Because then that would be just as bad the other way.
Exactly. And you heard, if you're listening, you heard William say, like, he mentioned Ming-Na Wen. I have a picture up here now that's of Ming-Na Wen, but her character from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Melinda May. She is iconic in this role. Like, she's probably arguably more popular than Coulson right now. People love this character. Guess what? She don't exist in the comics. She was created for the show. They probably didn't even think that this character would take off. But they were just like, people fell in love with her. She's a brand new character. She is a badass character, you know. So I'm just like, you know, and she's vulnerable when she needs to be. She has her flaws and everything, but you know, she's a great character, completely new. They didn't have to, you know, give her, you know, it's like, oh, you're gonna play this character from the comics or whatever, who was traditionally this white character or whatever. Like, no, created somebody entirely new and took off. So why could we not have that for Melissa in Spider-Man? Why couldn't we have that? You know, why can't we have that for 007? You know, or you know, like in James Bond or whatever. And then like, hey, look, she has her own spin-off movies after this or whatever, going on her own adventures. Hey, you're following someone else. It's still in the same franchise, but hey, look, you're following someone else on their adventures, and stuff like that. So it's just it's weird. And like, I gave Jordan Peele. I gave him a little bit of guff for what he said initially, but I got it. I get it now. Because, you know, he came out and he said, like, I don't see myself ever casting a white person
in
as
the lead for one of his films or something.
And I was like, I saw that and I was like, well, that's kind of messed up. But then I saw it in context because, you know, like, you know, people take these quotes and they just put whatever. I saw it in context. He's like, well, I've seen that story before. And it's like, well, what is he trying to do? Well, he's trying to tell stories from the perspective of a black person. So, yes, obviously he's going to cast black leads or whatever. He's going to tell stories from his perspective as a black person. So I'm like, he's not the greatest writer in the world. But I mean, like, hey, look, he's doing something. He's doing what we should be doing, like Hollywood should be doing. You know, he's creating these new characters. He's creating these, you know, new stories or whatever. And like William said, we have plenty of stories to pull from.
I mean, Mulan. They're great. Mulan. There's some great Asian stories. There's some great stories out of Japan.
There's some great stories
out of Africa. We've not heard any of these. Why not that? Why not pull from some of the more obscure comic book characters of that same era that focused, I mean, you know, a little bit they focused on Netflix with Luke Cage and things like that. And those are the first, you know, season of Luke Cage certainly was really good. And the portrayal of it was great. I mean, people blew, they went nuts on Iron Fist because like, well, the characters speak Asian. I'm like, But the original character wasn't Asian.
Wasn't Asian.
It was a white dude whose parents were kind of wealthy, and it's like, yeah, like, oh, you're making this. I'm like, well, that's what it was,
That's
though.
what he was.
I mean, again, then I don't know. Do the Doctor Strange thing and focus on the secondary character or something, or whatever, or focus on some other either mythological character or some other folklore fable character from some other place. I mean, like I said, the 47 Ronin from from Japanese, either mythos or history or however you want to look at it. It's like, yeah, do that, but don't put Keanu Reeves in it, because again, he didn't need to be in a movie with samurai. I mean, no offense, he doesn't, because it doesn't work. And that doesn't. And when he was in that movie, I was like, really, come on, that's a great story. Why would you put a white dude in there? Or don't freaking put. Don't put what's his name, Matt Damon in the the Great Wall of China movie.
Yeah.
Why on earth would you do that?
Exactly.
And there was another movie that was similar to that where you had Jackie Chan and John Cusack. John Cusack was, I think, a Roman soldier or something, which again, John Cusack cast as a Roman soldier. But that's, back in the day, they cast all the white people as the Asian, African or Egyptian people. In fact, they did that with some of the people from the old Gods and Monsters or God or whatever, that the Egyptian pyramid Egyptian type movie where, what's his name? Edgerton was the Pharaoh and what's his face was Moses or something. And I'm like, yeah, don't do that either. I mean, seriously, just don't. I want to see these stories from other cultures because they're cool.
Exactly.
I want to see them.
Exactly.
And I don't want them to be like, sort of just hand waved over and go, well, we don't need to do those stories. Let's do these other stories that have already been done a million times. It's like, but why?
Yes.
I mean, is it that Hollywood is so transfixed on money that they just want to redo the thing because it's the same, and now that that's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
They don't. We don't want to take chances and create something new. We want to redo this story. Why? Well, because we know it makes money, so let's do it again. It's like redoing the.
That's where we get all the Disney remakes.
Right. In fact, I remember the pitch meeting for the Lion King, and he goes, "So you got a money for me?" He goes, you mean movie, right? Yeah, whatever. It's like, that's it. It's not about, and again, the critics hated it, and people were like, it was amazing. It was the greatest thing ever. I'm like, but we've already seen that. Aladdin, we've already seen it. There's nothing new there. So why would you recreate it when there's nothing new to tell there? Why are we telling the same stories over and over again and go, well, let's change it a little bit and tell the same story again?
Exactly.